see a bit of Lyonar. Let's do it. Alright, well, here's a very good start. These are the best Gauntlet factions? Nah, Songho all the way. I mean, I think Lyonar's very good, in large part because of Ironcliffe, who we see right here. But I think River's probably the best. Like, the Bloodborne spell just gives you so much power and flexibility, it's unreal. And every 1/1 is a threat because of the potential killing edge next turn. Arjun is more solid, but Lilith is more fun. That's probably true. But I don't know, I've always liked Lyonar. I like playing big provokes. So, speaking of which, Ironcliffe I think is the pretty obvious pick here. So we have a massive dude with provoke and stats and airdrop. Perfect combo, you know. You can put this down to harass ranged minions, you can put it down to block off space exactly where you need it. You can obviously use it to absorb a pile of damage thanks to its 10 HP. And compared to these two relatively situational spells, although Magnetize is pretty cool, I think the Ironcliffe is exactly what we want. I've played so many of those. What's my Ironcliffe? Duelyst is being funny. Okay, Mana Forger is a 2-drop. It's not a very good one, I think, but it's a 2-drop. We have another Lionheart Blessing. This card I definitely don't want more than one of in the deck. Basically ever, I think. It's a very situational card. Radiant Dragoon, though, is really good. Solid stats, great ability. You know, gives a little bit of benefit when it enters the battlefield. I think that's really strong. That is another Ironcliffe, which I'm going to pick. I do like Arclight Sentinel, but I think we're picking this. So apparently Duelyst has decided not to reveal my picks. I don't know what's up with that. Strange bug. Is any of this actually registering? I'm confused. Whatever. We'll go through it. So far we have an Ironcliffe and a Radiant Dragoon. Let's pick another Ironcliffe. So we have 2 5-drops and a 3-drop. So far. Okay, so this is another pick between one solid body and 2 very minor effects. So this is really not worth a card unless you're playing Mechas. It's very good in Mechas or decks because of the sheer strength of being able to spam out 1 mana Mechazor triggers, but I don't think I want this in Gauntlet. You're never getting the 5 mechs, basically. Sundrop Elixir is probably not worth the card either, especially when this other minion also protects us. I think Sunseer is not really what I'd call a high tier pick, but I think it's pretty good. So we're on 2 5-drops and 2 3-drops. Legendaries! Good ones! Oh man, spicy. So, Hydrax requires battle pets, which we don't want, generally speaking. If we did have a lot of battle pets, we'd probably still struggle to line up Hydrax because the battle pets will attack and potentially die before you can play your Hydrax to get value out of them. Or you play the Hydrax, your opponent has a turn to respond to it, and then you play battle pets, and they have another turn, and then the battle pets can attack. So I don't think we're going to have much success getting stuff out of Hydrax. Dawn's Eye, I guess, is really strong. I mean, obviously it's very powerful with other artifacts, with Arclight Regalia in Constructed, and a 6-attack general is a ton, but Pandora is just such an amazing source of repeatable value. Even if they dispel it, you still get a 3/3 with text and a 3/10, which is just great, especially as, you know, we've already got 2 Ironcliffes. We're going to want a Divine Bond in this deck if we get one. So I'm taking 2 Ironcliffes and a Pandora already. Yeah, I think we're going to be that guy, although we kind of need some low end. So I'm not exactly hurting for excellent high stat 5-drops right now. This card's okay, but I've kind of not been that impressed with it before. This isn't much, so I think I'm just going to take this Golem. I think we already have all our top end. Let's see some 2-drops. 2-drops! Okay, Silverbeak, we don't need this. We've already got a 7-drop, a 6-drop, and 2 Ironcliffes, and we're 6 picks in. So it's between these 2. So Light Chaser, it has that magical toughness of 2 that means you generally don't want it, because it dies to a general attack. And we're very unlikely to get much healing synergy. So instead, let's pick the card with healing synergy, which is a 1/4 is again not a great stat line, although this thing is quite nice with Arjun's Roar. It is nice that it's very hard to remove. There aren't very many ways to kill a 1/4 on the first turn. So I'm a big fan of this pick. Plus, sustaining ourselves by an extra 3 HP is nice later on. Okay, so Sunstone Braces, I think this card's actually underrated. Like, it's probably vaguely constructed playable just because you can spend 0 mana and kill a 2/3. You know, you can kill a 2-drop with it, which I think is quite solid, but it's probably very weak later in the game, and obviously you take damage for the privilege. Bloodshot Golem is really underwhelming. It dies to a lot of early cheap things, whereas Hailstone Golem is great. Really solid body. So far we're looking at, we have 1 2-drop, 2 3-drops, a 4-drop, and a load of top end. So we're still looking for some early stuff. I've never seen anyone play Sun Elemental, and I find it very hard to construct a picture in my mind where it's good. Necroseer is pretty solid card advantage, but it's also a bit expensive. But this Putrid Dreadflay is also fairly low impact. I still like, when you're going second, being able to play a flying minion somewhere safe and then attack with it, or take mana tiles with it on the next turn regardless, is really nice. Like, it's very resistant to being blown out by, you know, general attacks, weapons, AoEs, Dispel even. So I think, like, Putrid Dreadflay is just kind of nice to have when you're going second. So I think that's the pick here. So we're still looking for 2-drops. Well, here is a 2-drop, but it is a pet. And pets aren't good. It's one of the better pets. I mean, the opening gambit's reasonable. The body's reasonable. You know, we play it if we don't have other options. Magnetize is kind of interesting tempo removal. It's good against Demonic Lure. It's good against Repulsor Beast. It's good against ranged minions, actually. And Sky Burial, also good against ranged minions. Slightly less flexible. The nice thing about Magnetize is that you can play a minion defensively and then move forward, magnetize the minion, and then move with it. So it gives you an enormous amount of reach. The awkward thing about Sky Burial is that when you're ahead on board and your opponent's just playing stuff next to their general, it doesn't do anything. So I'm actually inclined to take the Magnetize. Number one noob PS4 in chat is saying Sky Burial. I think the Magnetize is the pick here. The fact that it's 1 mana lets you make some really nice early turn plays. Like, you know, turn 1, I play my Azure Herald. Turn 2, I Magnetize their 2-drop, kill it, and then play another threat. Kind of seems pretty solid. Or, you know, I play a minion on a mana tile and then Magnetize. And it's also, I like the fact that it can play aggressively as well as defensively. And whereas Sky Burial is powerful but quite limited. Magnetize, I think you're underrating Magnetize. It was played on ladder for a while. Like, I'm keen on testing out both of these cards. But I think Magnetize is probably... I think the fact that it's not situational... I mean, it's sort of situational, but it's like... It's cheap removal and cheap tempo boosting and counters Repulsor Beast. So I think that's actually quite strong. You reckon Magnetize is that bad? I actually quite like it. Like, I've played with the card before in Constructed and had it be pretty strong. Let's take the 2-drop because we need them. I really don't think Sky Burial is going to be good. I think it's going to rot in your hand a lot. Like, if you've ever played with Decimate, Sky Burial's that, but it doesn't even have the massive blow-up potential. Let's pick the Fizz, but I'll pick the Magnetize if it comes up against other things that we don't need. Primus! Primus is good. I like Primus. I think True Strike is kind of nifty against... Oh, no, Repulsor Beast is pretty common. Like, it's a basic card and people will pick it. Like, that is obviously... Magnetize, I think, is primarily a removal spell, secondarily a reach spell, and tertiarily used for countering, like, demonic lures and stuff, but that does come up. I think I'm picking the Primus here. Solid body, provoke. We can just provoke people out in this game. Let's just hope no one's picked up random Hollow Grove Keepers. Ooh. So Wings of Mechazor, if we want to work on that mech deck. Planar Scout, which is, you know, not really a thing. Or this Jaxi, which is a great annoyance early on. Sometimes it absorbs the spells, and you get a ranged minion out of it, which is obviously really strong. Really nice with Arjun's Bloodborne spell, ranged minions in general, so I like this card. Easy pick. Sunwisp, Rustcrawler, or Golden Mantella. That's pretty interesting. I think Sunwisp is strong if you have stuff like Holy Immolation or Afterblaze, which so far we don't. I'm kind of in favor of the Rust Crawler. I think destroying artifacts is randomly useful. We're not going to see many Arclight Regalias, but we might see some Adamantine Claws, other early plays. Staff of Ikea is quite good against. But primarily we want this because it's a 2-3. You can just play it on turn 1 and not be embarrassed about it. Whereas Sunwisp, although it cycles, so you don't lose card advantage at this point, it dies to too much. And so, although it doesn't cost you a card because it cycles, you're losing it on tempo unless you're playing some kind of pump spell onto it. So I'm in favor of this Rust Crawler. I think Mantella is fine, but we're not really going to be starved for good 3-drops. And Mantella, again, if they're not too concerned about their life total, doesn't affect the board very well. Whereas Rust Crawler is a 2-drop, which we need, and it's a good one. So you have 3 2-drops now, including one pet. You reckon Sunwisp? I think the 2-3 is the better pick. I mean, Sunwisp is nice, but we don't have anything that synergizes with it yet, besides Arjun's Bloodborne spell. So I'm a bit concerned with falling behind on board. So this is pretty clearly between Repulsor Beast and Tempest. It's nice to have some AoE. Tempest is one of the worst ones. I mean, when it hits because it's so efficiently costed. And the fact that you can deal 2 to their face is pretty relevant. Kills artifacts, or helps you kill artifacts. I have killed people by Tempesting them in the face many times. I think if you have to have one AoE or one displace effect, I'd probably pick the AoE, because Lyonar also have access to Martyrdom, Magnetize, Sky Burial, Circle of Life, and just roaring up a random minion and trading to deal with single targets. Whereas Tempest is good if we come up against a Lilith player and they've got, little 1/1s everywhere and we're struggling to deal. Because I think that's going to be a weakness of this deck, is large hordes. I guess the double Ironcliffe does help with that. But Ironcliffes are themselves vulnerable to removal. We don't have anything that dies to this yet, which also helps. I think I would always pick a Repulsor Beast over a second Tempest, or vice versa. In fact, I don't think you ever want 2 Repulsor Beasts in a deck generally. Whereas I guess I wouldn't be unhappy having 2 Tempests. So let's pick this, because we're still in the first half of the draft. Azeroth Lion! Oh, get in. That's good. Slow. Slow is good if you have Holy Immolation. It's played on the ladder for that reason. Otherwise, I think the card isn't very good. I mean, I guess we can use it to play turn 1 Primus Shield Masters and stuff. I don't think that's very exciting. You can't kill a big minion right now, you need a Repulsor. That is a good point. Although we can slow them down quite heavily with our large provokes, and with Arjun's Roar we can trade quite efficiently. We also have, we have the remaining half to 2/3 of the draft to pick up one removal spell, which hopefully isn't too big of an ask. But we don't have that many AoE options. It's basically just Tempest or Blistering Scorn. Okay, so Thornleader's a very mediocre 4-drop, so since we already have 2 good 4-drops and some great 5-drops, let's look at the other options. Beam Shock is pretty marginal. It's probably good in Arcanist decks and such on the ladder. Lucid Beam is a worse Twin Strike. I mean, I guess it mostly goes to the face. And we do have an Azza Herald, so we have at least, and a Sunseer, so we have 2 ways of pumping it already, which I think gives it enough of the nod. And this card can be really good. It's a very nice tempo swing when you actually activate it. Okay, so this card's pretty bad, so let's look at these other 2. So we get another 2-drop. Again, it has the same kind of tempo issue as before, but is otherwise a pretty good card. Or we get a Dispel. I think the Dispel is probably worth it. It's another way of dealing with ranged minions or pump spells, things with scary abilities that we don't like. And Sunbloom in general is just quite an annoying, useful card, so I think I want this. We'll have to fight some Songhai on the way through. Divine Bond! Alright, so We should pay lip service to the other options. This again is not very good. Lycium Ball is a pretty solid card, and obviously it's great with Argian's Roar, but it doesn't tend to survive the turn, being only 4 health. Whereas Divine Bond, after picking the Pandora, I said this was a thing we were really looking to pick up, so we do want one of these in the deck. With 3 10 toughness bodies. Second legendary, oh man. Okay. So, Zukong is not very interesting, so let's look at the other two. So I had Red Sinja in my deck last time, and she didn't do all that much. She's a pretty strong card, but 7 mana is a ton, and we do already have a 7-drop. Solarius seems kind of interesting. I mean, tempo-wise, this thing isn't great, but card advantage-wise, it's huge. And since we don't have any draw, in any sort of long game, we might struggle against people capable of generating a lot of card advantage. So I'm very inclined towards the Solarius. I think, while Sinja's a solid card, the fact that you have to take damage on your face and line her up. Oh my god, this is a good draft. Yeah, you're right. We're in cash already. We just need a little bit of removal, a little bit of firming up the curve, and we're in good spot. I want a Martyrdom or something. Circle of Life would be nice. Right, so Fizz versus Sky Burial. Now with a card that is probably a lot worse than Magnetize. I think this is actually close. In terms of, so far we have, the 2-drops, we have Rustcrawler, Lucent Beam if we need, although that's not very good going first. So let's say Rustcrawler, Azurite Lion, Azure Herald, and I think we have one, and the other Fizz. So we're not doing great on 2-drops, and I've lost count, but I think we're about 15, 20 picks in. We need some amount of removal. Possibly we do just need the Sky Burial at this point. I guess it's good against stuff like Dark Nemesis. I feel like this is going to get replaced a lot, but at least against ranged minions it helps. Fizz for a 2-drop plus Lucent combo. That is a good point. We can already do that with 2 of our 2-drops. So I don't think I'm too concerned about that. I would totally buy that if we had a second Lucent Beam. But it's probably not worth taking another Battle Pet over... Basically, it's like crappy situational creature versus crappy situational removal spell. But I haven't played with Sky Barrel before, so let's try it out. Oh look, Repulsive Beast Tempest again. Well, I said I'd pick the one I didn't pick earlier, so I think that's a pretty easy choice. I think the slow is very low impact, and I don't want him. And yeah, we don't need a second Tempest when there's a Repulsive Beast in the offering. I don't think we want the True Strike. I think this card is a bit small. It kills Veil Hunters, but that's about it. And we do have a Lucent Beam and Tempest for ways to deal 2 damage at range. We definitely don't need more high end, so let's just take a nice 4-drop. This is good. I think now we have 3 really solid 4-drops. I think now we have 4 really solid 4-drops. That's a good pickup. I mean, Diamond Golem is kind of nice on the stats. I think I prefer Silverbeak or Stone Metal Golem because 4 power just isn't that impactful. Sundrop Elixir is obviously cute with Lucent Beam, but it's not really worth spending a card on. Whereas Blistering Scorn kills Wraithlings, lets us swing tempo, pressures artifacts, does all sorts of nice stuff. Silver Guard Knight, Tempest, Hailstone Golem. So, although I like Tempest, I definitely am not picking it over either of these. How many 3-drops do we have? I think it might just be the 2. I think we have Radiant Dragoon and Sunseer, and I think that might be it. We have 3 good 4-drops already, so I'm very keen on taking this Silver Guard Knight. There's also the chance we get an Afterblaze in the last few picks, and it being a basic. Someone used a Quartermaster Gauge in Gauntlet. you drew the 1 mana 2 damage spell. That is a pretty good answer to Quartermaster Gauge? Gouge? However you say it. Gorge? Just Quartermaster prevent damage. Oh my. So we have a big Dispel, a little Dispel, or a ranged minion. I want this ranged minion. I think we have a Jaxi so far, and that's it. And Hankheart is one of the better ranged minions especially when buffed. We don't have any toughness buffs yet, but we do have Raw, Arjune's Bloodborne spell, and a Divine Bond. And I quite like the idea of a 6/4 that heals itself, that attacks from across the map. Woodwind for the taunt. This card is actually quite good. Like, it's not great on the first turn, but it's funny later when you just give a random beef card provoke. Funnily enough, we do already have a bunch of large minions, but they all kind of already have provoke, so it's not really worth it. Yurn is one of the better pets just because it's so many stats. But I think we want the Lucid Beam. We only have 3 heals. Maybe we'll pick up another one. But I'm quite keen on just being able to remove minions at range sometimes. And I think we might need this. It's only 2 damage as well, so it's only 2 mana even as well, so it's quite easy to sneak in. Okay, so Windblade Adept or second Repulsor Beast? This is quite interesting, because you kind of want these 2 cards in the same deck, right? You want early aggression backed up by tempo plays. Repulsor Beast is not so good when your plan is cast the Pandora that we're sitting on. On the flip side, it goes quite well with Sky Burial. So if we really need to get rid of something massive, Repulsor Beast into Sky Burial can do that. But I don't think that's enough to give it the nod over the Windblade. If we pick this, we'll have something like 7 2-drops, which is a really good number. And this is one of the better 2-drops in the game. Healing Mystic? Or Young Flamewing? Ah, this is interesting. I mean, it's a pretty clear pick, I think, because we have 2 copies of Lucent Beam, so the Healing Mystic really shoots up in value. But Flamewing is a pretty strong card. It's quite good at contesting things from far away, because it's big enough to not randomly die. Like, it doesn't die to general hits, it doesn't die to things like Phoenix Fire. So if you play this in a safe spot, it's not that easy for your opponent to get rid of it. But I think we want this Healing Mystic. The tempo plays we can get out of playing that plus Lucent Beam are really nice. Well, there's 2 Pants Minions or an Arrow Whistler. I think that's a pretty easy pick. Lightbender Soul Second Sun. Oh, that's interesting. So we have a Sunbloom already, along with a Sky Burial and 2 Lucid Beams and a pile of Provokes. So we're not hurting that hard for removal or interaction in general. This thing is like really beefy. Really, really beefy. I've had a lot of good results with Second Sun in the past. And considering we have Divine Bond, we could just go, what, Second Sun, Divine Bond, Roar is, what, 18 damage? GG. Lightbender is really strong. It's very good against obelisks. It's quite an interesting pick. I guess we don't really need more big minions that are good with Divine Bond. But... Yeah, alright, let's max out on Dispel. Why not? So, we have a couple of things that Zeran goes well with. She goes well with Provokes, she goes well with Lucent Beam, but I think Arjun is, as usual, going to be the clear pick here. Arjun is just really strong. Still doesn't want to tell me what my deck is. Absolutely bizarre. If you guys will excuse me, I'm just going to take a very quick break. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Stay tuned. Right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Let's go. And hope that it isn't completely bugged, owing to whatever was wrong with my deck.
Lyonar versus Lyonar.
The mirror. So, this is normally a tempo fight. Certainly in Constructed. I would assume it's no different in Gauntlet. I think we just replace the high drops. It's a bit. This opening hand's pretty awkward. I don't know if we even keep the golem. No, we're going to struggle to cast it. Let's hope for a 2-drop. Ah, perfect. Okay, so as a herald into Lucid Beam is really nice. So I'm going to keep those, and I think I'll just replace this. Having removal in hand is nice, but digging for Ironcliffes is better. Scorn is good. That sets up the self-heal, even if we can't attack anything. Also good if he plays a Jaxi or something. Helm of Mechazor, we'll just kill that. Combo already. Yup, we are doing it. Let's hope whatever this is dies to Lucid Beam in a nice fashion. Yes, yes it does. So I think we start off doing this. I mean, I know what my play is this turn. It's pretty clearly this. And we move the Windblade up to contest that. There's pretty much nothing I can replace into that's better than this. The question is, what do I replace afterwards? The Scorn is pretty solid. It's a bit awkward considering what our board is. The Repulsor Beast is actually probably handy to have in pocket. We can actually play the Solarius next turn, if I'm not much mistaken. No, I lie. It's showing me the mana tile I had this turn. We can play it in 2 turns if we hold on to this mana tile, but that's not happening. So it's going to come down 3 turns later, which isn't very exciting. I think given how many big minions Lyonar have, I'd rather have the Repulsor Beast in my pocket than the Scorn. Even though the Scorn gives me a nice thing to play next turn. I'm probably supposed to replace this. We have enough high end already. Like this. So, what can you do? You can play like a Golem or some other 4-drop. Or you can just play that thing. Color me unconvinced. War Surge. Oh no, I'm getting beaten in the face here. Options. We can Scorn and trade. It's kind of fine. Scorn trade and Bloodborne spell on the Azure Herald to make it into a 3/3. We can Repulsor it away. We can just hit it and play something else. Repulsor Azure Lion feels a bit fragile. I guess we go face with the Windblade then. But we're ahead on cards. I don't think we need to get aggressive. I think we just want to kill this thing and try and keep the opponent on the back foot. I don't want to use the Repulsor Beast on it. So I think I'm probably casting the Scorn, which means I'm replacing this, most likely. It's also fine. Definitely incentivizes me to use the Scorn right now. So let's just do that. Despite what I said about us winning the long game, I'm still going to attack my opponent because you never know when they could pull out an Ironcliffe Guardian. Oh, speaking of Ironcliffes, boop. So I think this gives us a really nice sequence actually. If he plays anything massive, we can Repulsor Beast and Jaxi. On the other, if he doesn't, we can just Ironcliffe Guardian into Storm Metal Golem, and that probably wins us the game pretty easily. That's a bit scary, except that it dies hilariously to Repulsor Beast. So I think that makes the Beast the play. The question is, are we replacing either of these? I think the answer is no. I think I'm just going to sit on them. Like, we don't really need anything more than this. So where do I put my stuff? I think I want to back him into the corner, but I don't want to be so far away Sorry, I don't want to be so close together that I get screwed over by a large provoke. That said, the closer I get, the more likely it is that all my stuff can attack whatever it is. So I think I'm just going to go right ahead and bunch up unheedingly. No, that's a shame. Yeah, we can get aggressive. Doing it. Yeah, we are pretty far ahead here. That was very nice. I mean, it's still basically a card for a card, but if my opponent wants to stand still and attack this, that takes up not only some of their life total, but their time and their positional flexibility. Looks like next turn is probably Provoke Roar, but we'll see what he does. Grove Lion. Ugh. A bit awkward. What do we do about that? I think we probably airdrop in the Guardian next to it. And move to surround my opponent. Actually, the nice thing about his Grove Lion positioning is I can now attack with the Jaxi essentially for free. Because he won't be able to reach it next turn. So if I go this way, which lets me deploy the Ironcliffe here, roar it up, and let's get in for some damage. I'm just going to go face a whole bunch here and hope that it wins us the game. Let's replace you. Divine Bond. Cool, okay. So, if this doesn't die, we win. Oh, that's a pretty good way of staying alive. So I guess we replace the Radiant Dragoon, looking for some interaction. I wonder if my opponent is willing to... I mean, obviously the general attacks the Ironcliffe. Move Repulsor into the corner before attacking with the Jaxi. That's quite a good idea. I don't actually mind the Jaxi being here. I'd rather the Repulsor be closer to my opponent where I can hit his stuff. We don't have Roar up yet, but is generally quite a good target for buffs because it's small and inconsequential. So right now I can use the Repulsor to attack the Primus. Yeah, we have lethal. So this comes here. I go in the corner with the Scorn. Attack here. Get with my General. Divine Bond. Go. GG.